buddy, so Microsoft keep growing and they keep making their language, their technology strong. So trust me, if you are working with Microsoft technologies, you are never gonna get age. You are always going to be young because you have to keep learning to grow. Okay, so this time with the release of C# 11.0, Microsoft has introduced a new access modifier called file access modifier. Now, why they have introduced it, right? Was private, public, internal, right? Those access modifiers were not enough that they need now new access modifier. So basically they try to solve problem of assembly writer. People who write code for assembly, and when they provide that assembly to some other projects, over there you face a problem that the class name that you're trying to use is already declared in this assembly that you have used. So basically with this new release, this new access modifier, Microsoft has solved that issue. Now how to use that? Now there are some rules when you are using file access modifier. It's not that just go and start using. There are some rules that we need to learn. Okay, so let's jump into the code and take a look. Okay, so here we are in the Visual Studio, and if I can show you, we are using C# 11.0 as a language version. Okay, because file is only supported in language 11.0, right? So now before I create a file access modifier on class, let's talk about one problem. So if you migrate your application from C# 10 or lower version directly to C# 11, you will face one problem. If you are using a class name as file. If I can rename it to file, which is lowercase, you see it start crying that you can't use it, right, with the name file. Why? Because we are using language 11.0. Now if I don't use 11.0, it should be happy. If I can show you, you see it is accepting now that file. So that is very normal, right? Whenever we are working with the file upload, file delete, any file operation, we go and create a class name called file, right? But here is the catch. So if I can undo now this one, and if I can make it capital, you would see it is happy. So that means file with smaller case is now a reserved keyword for C# 11.0. So that was the problem if you migrate from lower version to C# 11. Okay, now what all you need to create a file access modifier, right? So since this is access modifier, for sure we have to put that file keyword here, right, before class. Okay, so let's undo that before that class name which was person. Now let's make a access modifier called file, and that's all. You are done, right? So you are successfully able to create an access modifier called file on class person. Now what is the benefit of that? Okay, so let me show you that. Now so let's do one thing. Let's undo that for now. For 1 second I'm going to undo that, and what I will do, I will try to create a new class called person, one more person. So what will happen? Let's just copy paste. Here you go, and let's rename the file name, right? So instead of copy, I will say person1, and we are done. So normally you will see it will start crying that it is not allowed under the same namespace. So you see code with Praveen Yadav web API is a namespace, same namespace is being used here, right? But if I change the namespace, it is happy, right? You will see in second. Yeah, here you go, it is happy, right? Both the class are okay, they have no issues, but they have only issues when they are under the same namespace. So now to solve this issue, Microsoft is saying make your class as a file access modifier, and now you are good. So now if I can show you the other file, you see there is no error with this person class, and there is no error with this person class also. Why? Because it is file access modifier. Now go on the name. File means whatever you create here, that is only belongs to this file, right? This person.cs file. That means this is invisible to other files. Okay, now let's do one thing. What I will do, I will try to call this class which is file, and let's see if it is able to call this class or not. Okay, so what I will do, let's make a little change over here. So instead of what I will do, let's comment this code. Okay, so what I will do now, let's go there into the controller part, and here I have already some code written. Let's delete that. Okay, and what I will do, so this is my person, right? So let's try to create an object of person. So what all I have to do, person, this is object, and here you go. Okay, now try to access these properties because these are public, right? Let's try to access those. Okay, now if I say person dot, so am I allowed to access those or not? I don't see that, right? So I'm not allowed. Even if you try to force that, you will see there are some issue. And what it says that person does not contain definition for first name, right? Because this class is now invisible to any other file because it has file access modifier, and that is the only reason, right? Okay, but then how it is able to recognize this person? Even it should not do that because this is making call to other person, right? So even if I change this class name, let's not change that, let's comment this whole class. Now you will see, you see it is saying that even this class does not exist, but we know that this class exists over here, right, over here, but it is not able to recognize because of this, right? Okay, so now with this we understand what file does, right? Okay, now there is a confusion, there is a curiosity in every programmer mind that if I can't use this class anywhere outside, why the hell I need to create this class? What I'm going to do that? Okay, so now there is a reason behind that. It is not that you can't use it. There is a way you can still use it. So first problem that it tried to solve, let's say you are writing one assembly, one DLL, right? So you create a class called person. Now when someone try to consume your your library into their project, they will face and if over there they create a same name called class person, they will say compiler start crying that this class already exists. So what I will do as an assembly writer, I can make my class as a file access modifier, and I can make sure every other developer can still write their class with same name. So that is what file is going to solve the problem. Now the problem is, if it is a file and I can't use it outside, how it is going to benefit me, right? It is like waste for me. So it is not like that. There is a way to use it, right? So let's say I create one class and I call, this is my main logic, right? And this is my normal class. Now what you can do, you can create an object of this here, and let's create an object first, and you can try to use it, whatever property, method, whatever it has written the logic, you can access it inside this class, right? So person dot, why I don't see, oh man, I need to create one method first. So what all I have to do, let's say create one testing method, and I will say public, let's say void, and this is my test method. So let's name it test only because we are playing to understand the concept. Okay, now I should be able to access. Here you go, I'm seeing that get full name method, right? So let's say control by, here you go. Okay, now it is good. Let's say control KD to format the code. You see I'm able to access. Since this was a file access modifier and we are still working inside this file, right? Even this class is inside this file. That is why I'm able to access this class. Now whosoever, what you can do as assembly writer, you can create one file or two file or three file access modifier within the one file. You put all of your logic inside that, and then you can create one main business logic class, right? That is just like like your endpoint, or that you wanted to expose to the world, right, with some unique name. And over there you can make a call to your file access modifier. Now what I will do, if I need to access all of these, I will only care about this, which is internal, right, which is normal class. Okay, so now if I can show you, if I go to my controller, I don't need it, right? And what I will do, main logic, here you go. And now you would see here main logic dot, I can make a call to my, which was just test method, and that's all, right? So this is one way you can use it. You can still access file access modifiers. But remember, what problem we try to solve? File access modifier, that within the same project in a different file you can create class with same name, right? Now you know what, one more interesting thing. So if I try to inherit, let's say I don't want to make a call through object, I wanted to inherit these properties from file access modifier class. So will it support or not? Let's try that. So if I say I wanted to inherit you, no, it is not allowing that. It says file local type person cannot be used as a base type of non-file local type, right? Which is this is non-file access modifier and this is file access modifier. So that means basically they can't communicate with each other. It has to be file. If I wanted to use those oops concept, right, oops inheritance, I have to make sure both the classes are file access modifier, right? So that is the one interesting thing about file access modifier. Okay, but other than these things, other than this interesting concept, it's not that file access modifier is only supported on the class level. No, you can make a file access modifier on the interface level as well, right? So I think I spelled wrong. So if I can say interface, yes, you see it is happy, right, on interface. You can make a struct also. So if you see here, you see struct is also allowed, right? And same for enum as well. You see enum is also allowed. For sure, let's comment this, otherwise it will start crying because we are not following all the practices. Okay, now interesting thing is file is only allowed on the root level, right? Right after namespace you can use a file access modifier, but not inside it, right? So if I can show you, let's first make it a class and let's undo this code, uncomment this code, and if I try to use here, you will see there is a red error message and it clearly says the modifier file is not valid for this item, right? So only on the root level, not inside, right? Not inside the class. Now don't confuse that if file you can use on the class level, that means because there is a concept of nested class also. That doesn't mean you can create a nested class, let's say person1, and you will start using file access modifier. No, that is not allowed. Let's comment this code, and now if you can see the error, it clearly says that this file local type must be defined at the top level, right? Which is this is the top level. No, you can't use inside it. Okay, so that concept is clear. Okay, now what actually this code write behind the scene? What actually happened behind the scene when you say file access modifier? Okay, so let me open one website called sharplab.io, right, where you can write C# code and it will generate the what actually happened behind the scene. Now what I will do, let's go to Visual Studio, and yeah, this class, let's say Control Z. Okay, Control Z, let's delete this, come on, and undo the rest of the code, right? And yeah, let's delete all the code, just this part. Okay, so if I can show you now, here you go, and you will see. Okay, first let's create a normal class. Okay, now if I can show you the output, what happened behind the scene here. C# compiler has created this class with same name, person name, and for sure we don't have access modifier, that is why it is internal, right? Let's see how about the file. Now what I'm going to do, I will write a file as access modifier. Now see what happened. It is still a internal class, right? It is still an internal class, but over here you will see it has added a very unique name, right before underscore person. That means behind the scene, C# compiler actually not creating a person class. They are creating internal class along with some unique name which is not even possible to recreate by any user. And you see that is the name, right? Something very unique, any random number underscore then your postfix name. and that is the only reason you are able to create same class name inside two different files, right? So that is the main reason. Now, one more interesting thing, that is you can't use any other access modifier along with the file. Now you will see, here you go, you see there's a red error message, file local type person cannot use accessibility modifier, so you are not allowed. Okay, so I hope you find it interesting. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe the channel. So that's all for today's video. I will see you in the next video.